You who are sitting quietly on your sofa, already thinking about the next vacations, about this trip to the Seychelles that you always dreamed of, but that you will unfortunately not be able to do because of the lack of means, and because you have priorities such as the repair of your fridge, which is going to cost you an arm and a leg. Dreaming for dreaming's sake, you might as well dream of being in the place of a Russian oligarch's child, and plunge, even if it is only for the time of this video, into the real life of the Russian rich children. For that, close your eyes and follow me in Russia, or rather, all over the world, because a Russian rich kid never stays in his country. If you're good at history, you will know that not so long ago, Russia was not a very rich country. Today it is different. The cards seem to have been redistributed in favor of Russia. But there's the social stratum, little known to sociologists, which has quickly acquired a taste for luxury. This golden youth, living mainly in Moscow or St. Petersburg, a lover of everything related to luxury. Jewelry, cars, and insane houses, and very fond of the most sophisticated entertainment. This minority represents a hidden facet of Russia which did not take too long to emancipate itself after perestroika and the fall of the USSR. Ekaterina and Anna Ryablovlev, Marat Safin, Anna Abramovich, Marina Sirkis, Ksenia, Ivan and Natalia Timchenko, Alexander and Irina Vekselberg, or Yusuf Alek Perov, and many others. These names do not tell you anything, but they are worth millions. Many millions. That's why in Russia these names carry a lot of weight, since they are the children of the country's biggest heads, the biggest bosses, or high-ranking Russian officials, or children of big celebrities. These people never experience any crisis or hassle. They live in absolute luxury from morning to night, never getting tired of it. And the worst thing is that they like to boast about it on social networks. The only kind of trouble they can find is when their platinum credit card doesn't work in a store lost in a tropical island, or when the latest pair of Louboutin or the latest Rolex hasn't been put on sale yet where they are. They are between 18 and 30 years old. They are of Russian origin, but are today stubbornly turned towards the West. They are distinguished by their extreme taste in luxury and their eccentricity that borders on scandal. Let's start with the basics. For the children of the rich in Russia, going to college is more a ritual of recognition, a way of stepping into the world of adults, rather than a means of intellectual emancipation. Study, or education after all, is just another formality. In any case, they have nothing to lose since daddy will pay for the diploma, which they will obviously get without any effort. Even if they have to take exams, they don't worry in the least because they can always come to an arrangement with the teacher, if you know what I mean. And after all, they already know what they will become later. Either they will take over from their parents, or they will have enough in their pockets not to work for the rest of their lives. For the oligarchs, Monday is like any other day of the week, unless it is a giant party in some remote corner of the world. Let's take the example of Alexandra Malinskaya, daughter of Russian entrepreneurs, born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Since she was a little girl, Alexandra has traveled the world. She moved to Europe to study before returning to Moscow. Today, the young girl says that when she is late to her college, she doesn't worry. It is enough to make her way through traffic with her personal driver and flashing lights. She has a foot in every country and lives more than 6 months in Russia when the weather is good and abroad when the winters are harsh or it is a bit dull at home. The children of the rich in Russia spend most of their time spending what their parents struggle, or not, to earn. Luxury has become a lifestyle. They sometimes live in total excess. Their clothes only come out of extremely expensive boutiques, those that only the wealthiest customers on earth can afford to visit. Their shopping strips are not like yours. Far from it. Each person leaves with at least 10 bags of big brands in their arms on each trip. Everyone has dozens and dozens of cell phones, iPads, computers, and other state-of-the-art technological tools. When you're in the middle of a dispute with Bouygues Telecom because your line was cut off due to non-payment, their worry is that they don't know if they're going to bring out the pink iPhone that goes with the Fendi bag, the metallic gray one that goes with the latest Gucci, or just put on the black iPhone with the gold shell that costs 20 times the price of the iPhone in question. Not to mention the tons of luxury jewelry and accessories that cost a fortune. Young oligarchs rarely live together as a family. Each of them owns one or two, if not several, luxury houses, as you can see in the pictures. Houses that can accommodate several entire families, with gigantic swimming pools, jacuzzis, gardens as far as the eye can see, grounds, sports hall, garages, with staff at their disposal. In short, everything so that they lack nothing, a bit like in a hotel. Among these rich young Russians, money and alcohol flow freely. Alcohol is so consumed that one could even say that it is drunk instead of water. And be careful, it's not the old 15-euro bottle of Chateau de Crozon that you take out every Christmas. These young people invest a lot in quality bottles at huge prices. They even buy golden bottles of champagne. Bottles that they take out daily and during the huge parties they organize almost every week. To get from house to house, young Russians don't fly like you and me. They don't have to stand in long lines at the police checkpoint or at the customs or suffer the famous hour of delay. They have private jets, and what private jets? And if by chance you are the kind of person who is afraid of flying, which is rare for a rich person, there are private yachts and luxury boats with drivers at each port, always ready to raise the anchor. And before moving from one island to another, they spend their time at the most exclusive parties, discos, and heavenly beaches. It's sure a change from the cold of Russia. As for the children of Russian politicians, they take things even further. The politicians, although they expressly criticize the Western way of life, still send their children to where the richest children gather, such as London or New York, mainly to study in the best universities, making sure that they lack nothing, and that they are settled in beautiful mansions in the most affluent areas of Europe. Dmitry Peskov, the press secretary of the president of the Russian Federation and Putin's right-hand man, will not say otherwise. His children have obviously gone to study in Europe, while their grandfather has gone to relax for a few days in the West. By the way, it seems that it is customary for the Peskovs to take a cruise on a luxury yacht in Sardinia during their honeymoon. A small vacation that cost them nearly 400,000 euros per week. Only that. His tender daughter, Elizaveta Peskova, caused a media scandal when she told a Russian TV channel that she felt much better in Europe and that she found Russian education to be hellish. And her public opposition to the war made her situation even worse and created problems for her father. A kind father who spends on his daughter's whims. However, even if Elizaveta is a little hothead, she says she appreciates the fact that there is enough Russian capital to finance her life in Europe. It is thanks to this money that she has bought a 2 million euro apartment in the heart of Paris, a sumptuous house located between the Eiffel Tower and the Arc of Triumph, while her half-brother prefers to travel the world in his private plane and live the rest of his time in England. Elizaveta is not the only child of a Russian billionaire who is living her rich life to the fullest. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who, as a reminder, called in 2017 for a world without the West, has also sent his daughter to honorable universities in London and New York. As for his daughter-in-law Polina Kovaleva, she owns a sublime house in London, estimated to be worth over 5 million euros. You can't imagine that we would talk about rich children of Russia without mentioning Putin's eldest daughter. The latter lives in a house worth 3 million euros in the Netherlands, and his younger daughter also owns an 8-bedroom villa in France. The Russian president is no exception to the rule. As it is customary for rich Russians to bite the hand that feeds them, Vladimir Putin criticizes the Russians who live abroad, saying that they are lost in luxury and that their spirit is no longer with the people. Well, of course. And if only these rich young Russians knew how to be discreet. On the contrary, they do everything to boast about their wealth, because in Russia it is quite normal to expose their wealth to the whole world. Moreover, a whole Instagram page has been created for this purpose, Rich Russian Kids. In it, you will see everything about the life of rich kids in Russia, such as these youngsters posing next to a Ferrari on the French Riviera. A display that may seem normal to some but shocking to others, especially since the Russian economy has experienced some disruptions and large periods of half-mast. Among these RRK extras is Alexander, a 19-year-old who climbs up and down private planes and yachts as one climbs the stairs of a low-income building, who changes cars as one changes shirts, and who says that his life is nevertheless terribly boring and banal. He studied for a long time in Italy and France before returning to the fold because he was homesick. Poor darling. He is the one who can be seen next to Vladimir Putin on this selfie. Calmly. The creator of RRK is a young man who wishes to remain anonymous. We believe to guess why. In an interview, he says that he has lived most of his life abroad and that he himself comes from the Russian Golden Youth, so he knows very well the people who appear on the content he publishes. He even made a confession slipped and among many others. He clearly confided that often in Russia, the law bends to the interests of influential and rich people and not the other way around. To illustrate this, he gave a concrete example that can be seen frequently in Russia. The children of the rich can drive without a license without being reprimanded for it and can decide to change the traffic rules as they please. For example, if they run into a traffic jam, they can escape it by driving in the opposite direction with impunity. They can also break several laws applicable to all, as they please. In short, you don't need to be called Kim Jong-un to make your own law and live a life of luxury and excess. It is enough to be Russian and to have parents who are ultra-billionaires. Millions here, millions there, cars that make you dizzy, sublime houses located at the gates of paradise, sunshine all year round, watches at astronomical prices, no taxes to pay, no cab or subway to take, no job, no car to empty, no fridge to fill. All this is enough to make you green with envy. Admit it. Speaking of fridges, now that you're back in France, it might be time for you to get up and fix your fridge. Maybe after that, you will be able to think about that travel project you've been talking about all day long. I can feel that this little trip to the home of Russian rich children has awakened in you a burning desire to make your dream come true and to put yourself in their shoes, if only for a few days of vacation. Now tell us in the comments what you think about the lifestyle of these rich kids from Russia and if you would like to live like them. And don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.